Welcome to our Trade Show's Solutions and Strategies for 2024 webinar. My name is Zola Zermenio. I'm a solutions consultant here at Cvent. Just to go over a few housekeeping items, on the right-hand side, you'll see some engaging features, our chat as well as live Q&A. Please feel free to chat, ask us questions as we go along. On that right-hand side, you'll also see documents from today's presentation. We encourage you to download them. On the line with me, I have Charles Conway, Principal Solutions Manager here at Cvent from Jifflenow. Hey, Charles.
Hey, Zola.
Also joining me is David Mitchell, Senior Director of Event Solutions.
Hey, Zola.
Hey,
Charles.
How's it going?
Great.
Awesome. Excited to be online with you both today and diving into Jifflenow as well as iCapture. Let's talk about what we have queued up for today. We're going to dive into our tools here. First, Jifflenow. Charles will take over, walk us through a few case studies. Then we'll look at iCapture, a few ways that teams are utilizing this powerful tool for on-site lead capture. I'll take over, we'll look at a demo of the two tools, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. All right, Charles, are you ready?
I'm ready. Thank you, Zola. So what is Jifflenow? Jifflenow is a meetings automation platform. And what we're designed to do is make scheduling and managing your meetings very easy at trade shows and corporate events. So not only do we solve the scheduling problem for events teams and salespeople, but we also add an extra layer of insights into your meetings activity. This way, before, during, and after the event, you have a 360-degree view on who you're meeting with, what sales opportunities you're talking about, and this allows you to measure the return on investment for your meetings program. Jifflenow's advanced reporting capabilities help you integrate data from Salesforce and other sources to really give you some good insights into your meetings program. So when I started Jifflenow 14 years ago, we only had 2 customers. At that time, the entire concept of automating the process for scheduling meetings at corporate events was only a few months old. Not too long after, I had my first on-site visit with a prospective customer, a major microchip manufacturer in San Jose. After being greeted in the lobby, we made our way up to a private room on the 2nd floor where the events team was planning for the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, their 2nd biggest event of the year. We had already met a few times on WebEx, and my contact had shared how difficult it was managing the meetings program. Late nights, countless emails, and the uncertainty that human factors bring into the equation when using spreadsheets. But I didn't really understand what they were going through until they explained what was pinned to the wall behind the boardroom table. It was a spreadsheet, 8 feet tall and 10 feet across. There was a step stool there too, so that the top rows were reachable. That giant sheet represented the calendar availability for hundreds of executives, subject matter experts, and salespeople. It was also the source of truth for the availability of meeting rooms, demo stations, and other locations available at CES in January. It was their job to make sure that every cell on that sheet was accurate from the moment the show began until they packed up the booth and headed home. We signed our 3rd customer that day. And when their events team arrived in Barcelona for Mobile World Congress in February, their biggest event of the year, that spreadsheet was a thing of the past for them, and it still is to this day. Fast forward 14 years, and the spreadsheet is still a meeting planner's worst enemy. While Google Sheets and O365 have moved the spreadsheet into the cloud, the manual processes that go with it are still a major obstacle. SiriusXM is a great example. When we met with them in 2023, they were looking for a way to improve their process for the Cannes Film Festival. Their pain points were very familiar: constantly checking emails, uncertainty about the accuracy of the schedule, and both the delays and errors that come with manually updating spreadsheets. Coming into Cannes 2023, the team had a relatively modest goal of 75 meetings. How did they do? Through automation, they were able to book over 225 meetings. As a bonus, having all of their data in Jifflenow allowed them to easily create reports and analytics to have insights into their customer meetings not possible using a spreadsheet to manage the calendar. Certinia is another company who realized their dependence on Google Sheets was holding them back. With 24 meeting locations to manage at Dreamforce, they were in need of a scalable solution and one that didn't require training for the salespeople who need to schedule meetings with their customers and prospects. Like many teams using Sheets, Certinia was looking for a solution that gave salespeople the autonomy to schedule on their own and provide real-time availability to help with ad hoc meetings on site. Jifflenow Salesforce app was a perfect fit. Not only did it allow the sales team to access Jifflenow right from Salesforce, it also provided an additional layer of reporting insight into the accounts and contacts met and the sales opportunities advanced at Dreamforce, their biggest event of the year. David, over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Charles. I'm so excited to have this opportunity to talk with all of you today about iCapture. iCapture exists to help marketers drive more pipeline from their events. With iCapture, your teams can capture, sort, and deliver leads to the right place in your systems, to the right team members. So gone are the days of spreadsheets, scribbled notes, piles of business cards, and arrived is a simple, easy, and consistent way to capture leads at all of your events. With iCapture, you can improve your lead velocity with one streamlined app that works online, it works offline, it works on Apple, and it works on Android devices. You can drive more qualified leads with customized lead forms that meet your reps in the booth where they are in their sales process. And of course, you can track the return on event spend. It is important to be able to quantify how are our events performing. Now with iCapture, you can do that. We like to say here at Cvent that iCapture is easy, consistent, and connected with your systems. The goal for Truck Stop was to understand their event picture. How were their events performing? Who were they speaking with? How were their team members performing? And who were they capturing along the way at their events? Truck Stop was able to take iCapture and deploy it across all of their events, bringing their own solution to every trade show, conference, symposium, and networking event in order to capture, sort, and deliver their leads directly into Salesforce. Truck Stop struggled before using iCapture to quantify their event spend because they were using rented badge scanners, spreadsheets, piles of business cards. They had a hard time telling the story from a data perspective. And after they brought iCapture in, they were able to say, hey, here's our 5 or 10 really high performing events. Here's our 5 or 10 really low performing events. And now we can figure out where we want to spend our dollars, where we want to deploy our additional dollars, or maybe make some changes and tweaks. And we can see who our top performing team members are from show to show. Another great example would be Shure. Now, Shure completely redesigned their entire trade show booth around the use of iCapture. So as we look at this next case study, Shure was able to move all of their booth traffic through their booth in a streamlined way that revolved around their lead capture. Now, some of you may know Shure is a leading audio, microphones really, but audio production company. And they sell both to consumers directly and they sell to businesses directly. And so in their booths at some of their largest trade shows, they were able to reconfigure their traffic around the use of our lead capture solution. So by deploying the iCapture app with all of their team members, they have everyone in the booth now capturing leads, and they have the flow streamlined to the left and to the right. Consumers going one way, of course, the more business side going the other way, and they have different lead forms represented in the app. So no longer are they trying to guess who are they, where do we need to send them, sending them all to the same place in Salesforce or Marketo. They're splitting their traffic with 2 separate lead forms. They're customized to their audiences and destinations. Again, the whole goal for us is to capture, sort, and deliver the leads to the right place so that our teams can work them with relevant follow-up. Zola, over to you.
Excellent. Well, David and Charles, thank you so much for going through those case studies with us. Really appreciate it. I see some good questions coming in through the chat. Let's now dive into a demonstration of the product. So first, we're going to look at Jifflenow, which is the tool that your team will use to schedule meetings before and during the show. We're looking at Jifflenow within the tool, but note that we could get your sales team unlocked to book these meetings within Salesforce. There is a Jifflenow Salesforce application. All right, so I'm wearing my saleswoman's hat. I've logged into Jifflenow. I see the two shows where my team has a presence. I'm going to move forward with setting up a meeting for SemiCon West. Really is as simple as me clicking this request a meeting button. This is our sales demo environment. So we're seeing a few examples of meetings here. We've got a general meeting, a demo, an executive meeting. For your team, this might be more simplified, maybe just one or two. Notice how as I select my meeting type, it's dynamic, the fields change. If it's a demonstration, for instance, I can select what product, what service we'll be demoing on site. On the back end of Jifflenow, what our team can do is map different experts to different topics. So we can make sure that as we move forward with booking this meeting, the right people are there to meet with that customer, that prospect for that meeting. Next, I'm brought to this calendar view. So this is my 3-day presence at that event. I can look at this calendar. There's a few different ways that I can schedule. Maybe I'm on the line with my prospect, my customer, and they say, hey, Zola, we really want a private space. I can select meeting room 1. You'll notice how the calendar that I see in front of me has changed dynamically. I only see the spaces where meeting 1 is available. Or maybe I really want to be sure that my customer meets with Amy. She's excellent. They're going to click. If I click Amy's calendar, I'll only see times where Amy is now available. I could also do a combination, meeting with Amy and meeting room 1, only seeing the slots where both Amy and that space are available. This is one way I might book. I could also be on the line with my customer and my prospect, and they could say, hey, Zola, the only time that I can meet is actually on Thursday at 1. Notice as I select that time, the locations available to me have changed. Only meeting room 3 is available. And then the users, the internal staff that I have to support that conversation, have also updated dynamically. Amy's not available, Daniel's not available, but hey, David is. So let me move forward with booking this. I'll meet with David here. It'll be myself and David meeting with this contact on site. If I wanted to add any other internal staff, I could absolutely do that. It's going to share with me the staff that's available. Anybody who's not available will show as unavailable. When it comes to adding that prospect, that person on the other end of the line, really easy for me to get their information in here, their email, their first name, their last name. This list could also be updated via an integration with registration, maybe Salesforce. I'm going to meet with Max here. I met with him before, so I have his info. As I click next steps, I'm brought to this final page where I can confirm the details, the date, the time, the location, my internal attendees, my external attendees. If I have any last minute adds here, I can make those. You'll also see this dynamic form. This form can be customized for your team. Really, you can think of this as an executive form. This is where I can make sure that all of my internal staff planning to meet with that customer on site have all the details surrounding that meeting. The agenda, the industry, the close date, the revenue. I'll click submit here. What happens as I submit is a few things. I will get a calendar invite in my inbox for this specific meeting. My external contact, my prospect, my customer will also get this invite. Here's a view of what that looks like. It's an actual calendar invitation. Because I'm an internal staff member, I get this one. It is confidential. It's meeting information. You'll notice that it has those details that I filled in on that executive briefing. The agenda, the industry, the revenue, the close date, all of this really easy, really accessible for me to have right within my calendar view. Of course, that internal or external user also gets that, just a few less details. All right, let's switch hats here just a little bit. Now maybe wearing the hat of a meeting planner. Within Jifflenow, we have this global calendar, a few different views. One, I like this list view. I can filter this, I can change the visibility. I could also search. Maybe I was on the line with my prospect, wanted to see all the meetings they had scheduled. From this list, there's a few actions I can take. I can edit this meeting, I can delete this meeting. I could even go in and reschedule it, maybe check users in who had not yet been checked in. Looks like Amy here hasn't accepted. I could accept on Amy's behalf, really giving your team the tools that you need to manage meetings and prepare for meetings on site. This is me making that edit. Maybe I was on the line with Max. He said, hey, Zola, actually that Thursday time is not going to work. I need to move to Tuesday. Could easily do this. Another view that we love within the tool, really helpful as you're managing the experience, is this master calendar view. So here within the tool, I can see a day-by-day breakdown of all of my staff. I'm looking here at July 10th. I could also look at the 11th. If I may be working hand in hand with an executive for my team, here's where I can see their calendar. I can see who has accepted the invitation, who maybe has not yet accepted the invitation. Anything showing as green on a user's calendar is something that they have RSVP'd yes to. They've accepted that invite, could even accept on Adam's behalf, turning that invite from yellow to green. So really easy to navigate this. Several visual cues so that your team has that pulse of what's going to happen on site. In addition to having that user view, we also have a location view. So this is a view of each station. Maybe I'm at demo station 1. I want to see all the meetings queued up for that particular location. All right, let's talk next about badge scans. What's really powerful about Jifflenow is that it can integrate with iCapture. So imagine I'm that meeting manager on site. I might be sitting at the desk scanning users. As I scan somebody who comes up with that scan using the iCapture application, I can automatically check that user into their Jifflenow meeting. I can also see meetings that they have later on that day. Let's say Brian walks up to my booth. I can scan Brian's badge, check him into the meeting, maybe even check in other users that I see around Brian, making this really easy, really efficient, really time-saving on site. The other powerful component about this integration is that I can scan users using the iCapture application. It'll pull them over here into Jifflenow. And from this, I can create a new meeting with those users. So let's say Morgan and Jason approach my booth. They did not yet have a meeting scheduled with my team. I can scan them. And from there, spin up a meeting. I'll click new meeting. Here I'm asked to select the type of meeting and move forward with booking that meeting. Really easy, really seamless, and certainly helpful as you're thinking about all the hecticness that is on site. Cool. Last but not least, what I wanted to share with your team within this Jifflenow tool are our dashboards. So we'll click over there next. Looking at the dashboard, I can see here really high-level stats on my team's performance at SemiCon West. How many meetings have I booked? How many inbound requests are there? How many invites do we have out there? Are we utilizing the room that we have booked for this show? Really helpful as your team prepares to go on site for the program or as your team is on site at that program. And then last but certainly not least, we do offer exportable reports within the tool. Here, your team can filter the information on that report and export it for your teams. All right. Please feel free to share some questions on this product within the chat. We'll transition now over to iCapture. All right, let's talk now about iCapture, or really your team strategy on site at a trade show. What will be important to your success as a team is that the experience show to show remains easy, consistent, and connected, which are 3 words you'll hear us use often to describe iCapture. In today's presentation, we're going to look at the mobile application that your team will have in the palm of their hands. I'll actually have you install this application if you'd like and play along in just a bit. But before we do that, I wanted to show this picture that I love. Here is our very active booth on site. We have a meetings desk where customers and prospects are checking into their meetings that were booked in Jifflenow. We also have lead capture happening all throughout the booth. We have sales members with the iCapture application within their hand. We also have a kiosk. So iCapture supports a fully branded kiosk. It lets attendees submit their interest, answer any qualifying questions. We also have a QR code. Users can scan that QR code, enter in their information. We see this maybe posted at booths, but also within presentations. So just bear in mind a few ways iCapture can help make sure that all of the lead captures that happen on site are in one central location, syncing back to your marketing automation platforms or your CRMs. I invite you to install iCapture. It is that mobile application. You can find it in the Apple App Store or Google Play. or you can simply scan this QR code and install. Super easy to install this application. Feel free to do so. In just a bit here, I'll have you join one of our test events. This event is happening within May. So if you are watching this program after May 3rd, which is when my test event occurs, just know the code won't work. And that will make sense in just a bit here. But for today's presentation, or if you're watching this prior to May, feel free to jump in and play along. Okay. We're going to start this demonstration by wearing that hat of that sales user. And I'm on site at the program. I've installed iCapture on my mobile phone, and I've clicked to collect a lead. There are a few ways within the application that we support lead captures. One is manual, maybe a little bit self-explanatory there, first name, last name, email, company title. The other, maybe more popular forms of lead capture utilizing the app are via scans, barcode scans, or by taking a picture of a business card. We'll talk when we get to the back of house with how we support different badge kits in our tool, but you'll see it's just as easy as scanning that badge next time brought to that lead form. Or I could take a photo. I'm taking a picture. We have Smart Detect technology within our application that will pull in their first name, their last name, and their email. If our tool does not find an email, no problem. We'll simply prompt that registrant to enter in an email. Now, next up here, I'm seeing a form, and this form is something that we work hand in hand with your team to curate. All the questions that we're seeing on this form are very dynamic. When I select my audience member, it's going to change my form. Different questions based on new lead, distributor, current client. I'll also draw your eye to the right-hand side of my screen here. All of my lead captures are going to be integrated within Salesforce, my CRM, but certain lead captures will require that human follow-up, that human touch. If I've met with somebody and they have an urgent need, well, that shouldn't just be funneled into a marketing automation campaign. No, instead, really that person should have someone give them a call. If we've got the decision maker we're talking to, maybe that's not just sort of put into maybe the more generic email marketing campaign where it's fostered. Instead, it really needs to go to a sales rep. Okay, let's log in here. I am going to log in as Pam Beasley. If you are a fan of The Office, that name might ring a bell. I'll notice that in our backend system, a lot of this is Office themed. We're big nerds over here. We love The Office. I'm logged in, maybe switching hats now. I'm not wearing that hat of that sales rep. Instead, I'm wearing the hat of that meeting manager. This is where I can see really at a high level some key stats on my programs, how they're performing. It's also where I can jump in and create an event. We've got this calendar view. I prefer this list view, so I'll click over there. Again, you'll notice a lot of our events are very paper themed. I'll go ahead and name this Paper and Pencils 2024. So high-level details of my event are asked here: the name, the location, the budget. Really helpful as we look down the line to maybe associate leads generated to the cost of that program for our team. An event contact, we want to be sure at the Cvent iCapture side that we have a member of your team that we can reach out to if we need to. I'm going to click forward with creating this event, and it's going to bring me to the back end of my Paper and Pencil Con. Now, eventually, this is where my stats for this program will live, but right at the beginning of creating this event, I'm prompted to create that lead form. So I'm going to click to do this. I'm going to click to create that lead form to set up lead capturing for this program, for this event. Really, this is a 5-step process. First, I'm asked to set up the capture method, the badge scanning method for the show. So I'm going to move forward with enabling badge scanning for this specific event. iCapture supports over 120 plus providers. We can always integrate with others. Based on my selection here, the tool is designed to provide me the necessary fields to get this set up. For the purposes of today's demo, I'm going to select Custom Mappable Barcode. Once I save my changes here, you'll see a preview of the 3 methods with which we're supporting lead capture at this event: badge scanning, business card, and manual entry. Now, next up is setting up my integration. At this point of setup, you will have already worked with our team. iCapture has native integrations with all major marketing automation platforms and CRMs: Marketo, Eloqua, HubSpot, Salesforce. So when it comes to this stage of your setup, your team will have already worked with us to configure the integration to your liking: field mapping, lead routing, destinations, etc. You can utilize iCapture to send emails. We have a different email for new leads versus current clients. Totally up to your team. You can jump in, make edits to these. What's maybe a little bit more popular for some of our customers is that they are sending out communication via their marketing automation platform. I'll go ahead and turn these off, but no, you're very welcome to utilize them. Step 4 here, I'm asked to customize my lead form. We saw this lead form at the front end of the application. This lead form will become standard for your programs. Likely you'll have one, maybe you'll have two, but event by event, maybe there's a few other questions that you would like to collect. At Paper and Pencils Con, there's additional information, there's a change to the form. You can easily make that right here within that setup process. You'll notice, yep, this option to add a different question to the form, totally up to your team here with making those last minute edits to that core form. I could preview this if I wanted to. Again, I could add that question if I had something specific I wanted to ask. And then my last but not least step here is to approve and lock this lead form. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to approve and lock the lead form. And next up here, I'm shown my install code. So if you were following along and installed our application, I welcome you to enter in this install code. Simply jot this down. It's DAC133, we'll put that in the chat as well. This is that code that your sales team would need to install this specific event for that attended show. So it's really easy for them to get in there. We have some documentation for your team to share with your sales team to get them in there, to get them familiar with the application. I'll go ahead and pause while you do this on your device. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask us in the chat. Now, last but not least, I wanted to look at analytics. So we have analytics both on the event level as well as the account level. We'll look at Paperpalooza, a show we attended in 2023. We have those high-level event results here. These cards can change depending on what your team needs to see when you click event results. We also get a little bit more granular with event activity. So here I can see there were 117 leads collected. I can get even more granular with a summary of the event, my team's performance, even the questions that were asked at that program. Who are my top performing team members? What were the leads that they collected? What were the questions that were asked? Who's the audience that we're talking to? Which products have the most amount of interest, and so on. Last but certainly not least, I wanted to show analytics on the account-wide basis. So here you can view via the last 3 months or all time. This is an all-time record of all the events that your team has attended. How many events have you attended? How many leads have you collected at those events? Really making it easy for your team to measure your performance at these trade shows. Getting a little bit more granular into an events overview here. Which events should we definitely go back to? Which events can maybe fall off of our radar? And then certainly, last but not least, we will show team performance. Who going to these shows is capturing the most amount of leads for our team. Well, with that, let's transition back. Well, before we transition over to Q&A, I've got a few quick plugs. The first is that if you'd like to earn a $100 Amazon gift card, please sign up to complete a demo with us. To any recipient outside of the US, the gift card can be converted from $100 US to any other currency. Well, let's jump over to Q&A.
Thank you all. And Zola, thank you so much. Charles and David, really appreciate your overviews, particularly those live customer stories that you shared. My name's Rebecca Litz, and I am part of Cvent's marketing services group known as MSG. That group encompasses not only Jifflenow and our iCapture platform, but also our streaming services and our data and consulting teams. So if you have any questions around our MSG group and Cvent's ability to deliver all those services, we'd love to talk with you about those. For today, I am going to answer your questions in reference to the specific session we just saw. We had some great questions come in. Very much appreciate those. And some of those questions were along the same line. If you would like to stay on as I go through these and answer them very quickly, please do. Again, housekeeping. If you've got to jump off or you're not going to stay on through this section, we will be following up with you via email. And in that email, you're going to have the opportunity to request a session with either a representative if you haven't started working with Cvent yet. But I can tell from some of the questions, some of you are our existing partners, and we'll connect you right with your team. So expect that after the webinar. All right, I'm going to address these questions in two sections. I'm going to start with iCapture because those were predominantly the questions we started off with as we went over that. And then I'll roll into the appointment scheduling and the Jifflenow. So one of the questions is, what's the difference between iCapture and Cvent's lead capture platform? There is a significant difference. We acquired iCapture, which is was a leading platform in this space last spring, and we fully integrated it into our Cvent event platform today. Lindsay, and thank you for this question. It's a robust tool that can be delivered in a more fully developed way that's more integrated and allows you to do some of the activities that actually were part of the follow-up questions that I'm going to jump into. But in essence, yes, there is a difference. The Cvent lead capture tool is now being effectively sunsetted, Lindsay, and iCapture has been integrated into our platform, and that is what we will be continuing to develop and deliver. The specific differences are quite a few, and I think that Lindsay, we would love to jump on a quick session with you. Again, if you're an existing customer, we can work with you there, or we'll follow back up and get you in touch with the right team member. That'll happen after this. So as a follow-up to the iCapture question, and working with iCapture, is it compatible with most other lead capture platform at trade shows? The answer is yes, and we help you position and connect with all of those tools for those trade shows. If you're not familiar with how to do that in advance of the trade show, again, our team members can walk you through that. They have a list of all of those compatible platforms. So from an integration perspective, integrating at the event, absolutely. Furthermore, and this will cover off a couple of questions, and for all of you still here, this is for both Jifflenow and iCapture. Cvent is a leader in the integration space. So just know that for all of our marketing services tools, including iCapture and Jifflenow that we're talking about today, we have the capability out of the box to connect those tools from your event platform all the way through your software stack, regardless of what it is. So when I say that, the leading types of marketing stack tools that we all think of, from a CRM, marketing automation, CMS type of platform, we have out-of-the-box connectors, and you can actually go to cvent.com and see all of those out-of-the-box capabilities under our Integration Hub section. Or to take that a step further, if you have something that is maybe not out of the box, we have a full custom integration team with working with your open APIs, and we can certainly sync up with you on that. So that covers a couple of the questions here around integrations. Simple kind of appointment setting from either side. Yes, you can do that via Outlook calendars. We integrate across all of the standard meeting management and calendaring tools. And those go right out once you've set either a meeting or you've captured the lead. You can push either right directly over to my calendar and have it displayed there. Again, on cvent.com, if you go and look, you'll see how that works. We've got it all listed, but we're happy to jump in and walk walk through that with you at a deeper level. The answer is absolutely yes, it can be done. And then just a couple of Jifflenow questions. I think I answered some of them in that, but there was one here from Charlotte. Charlotte, thank you for presenting this if you're still here. Can customers book meetings and demos themselves from an event landing page? The answer is absolutely yes. There's a couple of different ways that Cvent drives that motion. One is if you own our event platform, we have a meetings tool that's built in that comes flush with the software today. It's simplistic and doesn't necessarily, it's not necessarily simplistic, but it doesn't offer you the same capabilities as a Jifflenow technology or software platform would offer you, which has a lot of complexities and data capture, integrations, etc., that pushes all of that from an automatic perspective. And so you're not doing some of the work that the gentleman shared with you that you may have to do today manually with spreadsheets or connecting email inboxes and sorting through it, etc. So the answer is yes, it can be done in an automated fashion. But the nice part about that ultimately is that you can measure it, you can see it, you can report on it. Our platforms allow not only you as maybe an administrator to go in and take a look at that, but multiple team members with the right access points can go in and see what is happening around appointments and then see the data that comes from that. And we all know that with trade shows, many people get involved and want to see, leadership wants to say, who are the appointments with? How many appointments have we had? All of that can be set up so that not only is everything automated, I'm doing it on my own, but you have multiple team members and stakeholders that can log in and take a look at the data. So once again, relieving that extra work from you of having to send reports or send manual reports. We hear that all the time, that that's one of the big value and time savers of that type of activity. I think I had a couple of last minute questions pop up. So we've got a few of you still here. We've got a couple of minutes left. I'll go ahead and answer these. So hang on as long as you would like. Is there a limit to the number of custom questions we can add within the tool? And the answer is no. You can, I've seen, if we think about, let's go back to Jifflenow and we're talking about, or let's go back to iCapture. We're talking about iCapture questions. I'm standing there, you're there, I'm going to answer a series of questions. That's typically done by preloading a form or a questionnaire that you all create. So that's really on you, but no, there is no limitation. There are best practices though, when you think about the real life being at an event and the number of questions that you want your teams asking and capturing. So you create a form, you put the questions in advance so your team can go through those quickly, and then you put the answers for your team in that form. So I'm standing there with a line of people and we're talking and I can ask the question, I can quickly answer it. But again, the answer is no, there's no limit. If you want some other type of question or workflow on our event platform, there is no limitation, but again, we work with you on best practices. Some new questions that popped up. If I'm using a registration page and have created an event, we'll go back and find that. Did that question pop away? It did. I'll go back to that. Here's the latest. Are the available API badge kits global in nature? The answer is absolutely yes. Cvent and iCapture does not create those badge kits. It's the event itself. So they typically use one of the standard ones. I'm sure you're aware of that. But yes, when you say global, if you're talking about, do we have the capability to deliver services? Does Cvent have the capability to support you on a global basis? From a support perspective, yes. We're a 8,000 strong person company today, with the bulk of our professional services and teams all in support around the world. So time zone wise, the answer is yet. The badge kits and the capability to download and deliver those on a global basis and access those globally, the answer is yes. And that kind of covers off a little bit about how we think about support for all of you, by the way. Are we able to trigger, here's another question. Are we able to trigger collateral to be sent out to contacts we met with at the show in an automated way. Yes, and I've done that myself. It's amazing. So you can preset that up within the iCapture tool. Even within Jifflenow, when you're in meetings, you can set up a workflow like that. But you're talking iCapture here. And yes, I'm at the event. I'm talking to someone new who's walked up to me. I've gone through those questions. And at the bottom, absolutely, you can do a multitude of things. At the bottom of your device, whatever that might be, whether it's a phone, whether you've got iPads or you've got a stagnant station, you can have a workflow where you can send out a multitude of collateral. You can do other things. You can set up appointments as well. The integration between these platforms makes the automation amazing and effective, because I think we all know we want to do better at that and extend that investment into these trade shows. Another question, are we able to set up an approval process within the appointment workflow? Absolutely, that's one of the keys. I would love for the person that asked this to look for your email and set up a few minutes with your rep, because you'll find that that's really one of the advantages. And not only can you do an approval process within the appointments workflow, you can integrate that all the way through your software stack across all of your tools. Another question that just came in. Where did that go? Actually, I think I've actually addressed all of your questions at this point. So I am going to sign off. I want to say thank you to all of you. Look for that email from your Cvent team. Request to speak with your representative and or perhaps set up a demo to work through all of this. We're so grateful you took a few minutes to spend with us today here at Cvent, and we look forward to connecting you. Have a wonderful day.